They did it again. Hi, we're live at Epic headquarters. I'm here with Steve, Sid, and Jim. And thank you to Zacubus for another fantastic video. We are totally enjoying these. Everybody's enjoying them. They're passing them around and sharing them on Twitter and Facebook. So make sure you head over to the forums if you have a great gameplay video, even if it's you making a fool of yourself, and send it to Zacubus. And maybe he'll make it in his video. And maybe you'll get a FLAC pin and sticker. So. Last week we said we were going to give away a t-shirt, and we had some technical difficulties, some networking, Time Warner, something happened. So, Chris UT4 won our t-shirt.
Wow.
Nice.
Nice. New t-shirt.
Just
So
as a little token to tide him over until the next build.
yes, exactly.
we should have printed new t-shirts soon.
So congratulations, Chris. I will reach out to you on the forums and get your address and everything so we can send that out to you. And we'll send you a FLAC sticker and a pin too. So we've been having a great time to play with you.
I can't see if he reacted or not.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he will.
No, but we lost chat anyway.
Oh,
Sorry.
darn. Oh, I still have mine here. So I think he just needs to refresh it. Let's see, where were we? Okay, we've been playing with you every Friday. We're going to do it again this weekend. This Friday at, what time do we do that again? 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock on
4
Fridays.
o'clock
Yep.
Eastern.
Which, if you show up and record us, is a great way to get some fails of the week because we're all playing with you.
Yes, so you're definitely going to get some fails there. But yeah, I actually recorded something last week, so that I was going to send to Zacubus.
Maybe Joe will make a flag run.
Actually, it'll be even easier with a new build because we'll have the replay system in, so all those matches will be
nice. Smooth transition.
will be saved, and you'll be able to go watch them later. So then you can make your carefully scripted.
Carefully scripted, cut out all the
cinematic,
things where you don't want people to see. But yeah, I was going to send mine to Zacubus, so I have to remember to do that. Unless I do something even more stupid this time, then I'll probably send that. A shout out to PCF for going back to their indie roots, and
Yay.
they are working on a new game. So people can fly. We love you. Good luck with everything, and represent. All right. So speaking of new build, do you have any news on that?
Well, it's not out yet. We're hoping to have it out by yesterday. So we're very close. We still have 2 or 3 bugs. Unfortunately, this build has been a really tough build to finalize and test because we're upgrading from 4.7 to 4.8, and there's also a whole bunch of back-end stuff that's not compatible between the versions. So it's very difficult to finally test all the different features and hubs and things like that because we can't use the same version. We can't use the production version of our back-end with our test build, and so we're getting through it. Hopefully, real soon.
Aren't we supposed to blame Joe?
And we're supposed to blame Joe.
Joe's fault.
Yeah.
So
Not Zach's fault.
not Zach's fault.
No, Zach is the backup fault.
No.
Yes.
In case Joe's not here, then we
Yeah.
can blame Zach.
Yeah.
All right, so where you are, I kind of went out of order there, but since we were talking about it anyway, I
Yep.
figured I'd bring it up. Sid,
Oh,
we're gonna
okay.
take a look at. Are we gonna do
actually,
the L one first or the S one?
No, I just wanted to show a quick update to Solo before
Okay.
it makes it out into the build.
Solo,
been a
which
few
is a
people-
super fun map.
A few people playing online. I got some good feedback from people both externally, internally, and I've reworked quite a bit. I'm still not entirely happy with how all this is turning out, so looking forward to round number 2 of getting feedback out in the wild. One of the biggest changes that I've made is actually changed the area behind the shield belt here significantly. So instead of the roof that kind of didn't really give you height advantage because you were still super easy to hit with splash damage, it's now a proper kind of walkway, and there's also a second way to get up here. So previously you kind of felt like you were in this nasty dead end area if you spawn, and you had to truck your way all the way around. You had to go through the shield belt area to get back out, which if it wasn't there, wasn't really that important of an area unless you wanted to go get the rocket. So now this actually makes it a little bit more dynamic if you're chasing somebody down this way. Previously all you had was this engagement here. Now you can actually go up here as well, and you can actually make that lift dodge. Get your way over to the belt.
And the ramp behind you, too.
And then, yes, there's also the little evasive space with another health pickup down here in the corner. So counter to what I wanted to do is make the map a little bit compact to play it, have it play faster. It's actually a little bit, tiny bit bigger, but we'll see. It's kind of been growing on Zach and I playing over time, and again, I'm looking forward to people playing it and actually giving feedback on what they think can be changed to maybe make it play a bit faster. But it's also not necessarily a bad thing that it's a slower paced map. Another thing I did was add the opportunity to take this dodge here the other way around. And then the flow in the flag room here has been changed completely to this used to be open up to the top. Now instead what you get is an opportunity to wall dodge your way up here if you wanted to take that path. But other than that, it actually connects back around to where the jump pad now comes up. And this leads to the armor area. So previously the jump pad kind of was this one-way street only into this space. Now you have a little bit more options coming up here. And it makes the gameplay around the space a little bit more interesting because you can actually cut off people, you can intercept, and it doesn't feel as linear, and you can still do this here to get back up as well. On top of that, there's also some slide spots now to cut through. This bit behind armor is open. We'll have to see how volatile that is and if it's going to be too crazy and make it, too easily contestable or not. But if you time it right, you can actually kind of make your way slide through there as well, but it's sort of tricky to do. But yeah, it makes some of these areas a little bit more fluid if you know how to get around.
Can you pop into behind view and show people the new slide stuff?
Oh.
This might just be for cafe.
All right. So besides I think Aaron has also made a bunch of other tweaks to just general like transitions and runs and stuff like that. So that stuff's awesome.
It reads a lot better.
Let me find a good
I
spot.
like your little shiny outfit. Uh-oh.
Bam. We now actually have a proper first pass anim hooked up for wall run.
Ah, beautiful.
So that transitions nicely into the slide and everything.
And there's effects on the slide and
Yep,
landing now. So
wall dodge effects. You also get landing effects from
if you go fall
big
from
heights.
distance, yeah.
So overall, character readability is much improved, and you can kind of tell what's going on. I don't know if Steve wants to add anything about how
that's, I mean, I think you're showing pretty much
Yeah.
the stuff that we're I mean, all
Look
that
beautiful.
functionally also, I mean, wall slide and floor slide both had some functional, hopefully improvements in terms of how they work and feel. So that'll be interesting your feedback with a new build on that.
There was some control changes too, so
Yeah.
people will need to play with it and get used to it.
Yep.
I guess maybe to explain the intent behind that was to remove an extra button and kind of simplify the control scheme, make it a little bit more intuitive with the language of crouch already going down, that being the slide made sense, and holding a space to go up for the wall run. So
And the key is, I know that people will like to use, in some cases, crouch to land off a landing, to not go off a ledge or whatever, to be able to kind of nail yourself down where you land. And you can still do that. Basically, the way that that the crouch slide works is that if you're right before you land, you tap crouch, then you will slide, so you don't have to hold it down through your landing. But also, when you land, it will only slide you if you're currently holding down a movement key. So if you just pull off the movement key and hit crouch right as you're landing, then you will go into regular crouch and stop right there. So hopefully, you haven't lost. I mean, hopefully it's not too hard to get used to, and that way you haven't lost any of the old functionality you wanted off the crouch. But now it's and wall running is the same thing. Wall running now is always explicitly activated by the jump button. So if you're up against a wall and pushing space, then you engage the wall run. If wall run is engaged, as long as you're still pushing down space, you can also look away from the wall, and actually shoot out from the wall while you're running along it. So
you can run a little bit farther
and
than
the
you
distance
used to.
distance for wall sliding is a little bit further than before. It's extremely far right now on slope walls, and it's not much further on flat walls. So probably something that we're going to mess around with for both of those kind of cases to figure out what the best.
So there's two questions.
The animations look so good. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
Some
Two
people are
questions.
asking a lot about the door, Sid, one. And
I was
the
gonna
other
get back to
question
that.
is the verticality of the capsule. Does it stay completely vertical when you are wall
Yes, right now.
You
So
guys
that's a
play
good
it.
question.
So
That's a good question. I will actually write myself a note because that's something we might.
What
the
was the
question was,
question?
does your capsule
Capsule.
stay vertical when you're wall running?
Verticality.
And
And it does right now. That's something that we should think about.
Yeah, so actually,
It's hard to change it because you get these weird. You don't want to get people stuck in weird ways because their capsule changed. But that is definitely something we should spend some time trying to figure out the best approach.
and one other thing in the map too, since it's a relatively big map so far, duels seem to work well, FFA works relatively well, and actually TDM doesn't play that badly either size-wise. So
yeah, TDM wasn't terrible until we got
Um,
above like 6 players, and then it started to get a little bit of chaos.
I don't actually think so at all. I think it held 8 players relatively comfortably. Our average scores were like in the hundreds to 150s, which for TDM maps isn't actually that bad at all because faster playing maps used to get up to the 200s sometimes back in the day.
Yeah.
Even like Codex, for example, and TDM would always be pretty high scoring. But so anyways, to kind of just support that potential and try it out a little bit more, I added this little U-damage hallway here with a slow opening door. So I kind of put it this way so it's easily ignored if you intend to play duel, but it's there for TDM. It's just kind of a first pass thing thrown in there as a way to try it out. But yeah, those are the major changes to solo and wall running stuff.
Map looks
and
fantastic. Looks really
let's,
great. I think everybody's going to be pretty pleased with this update as well.
We also had a new map from Tom Browett.
Tom Browett, who happened to go on vacation this week, so that's why he's not here with us. But we've been playing this one a lot in our play tests, and it's come an awful long way, and we have an awful lot of fun with this map.
So yeah,
It's very different. I think it's actually a little bit divisive, but it's
Yep.
the hardcore CTF players tend to like it a lot so
Yep.
far.
Zach and his QA team have been doing a lot of testing on this map and everything with the water, making sure everything's
yeah.
working properly with all the weapons and everything, and it's
So
really looking great.
anyways, this is base number 1. It's a relatively short run here, and you snag the flag, you take it, lift up,
By the way, new link gun.
funnels
Look at that new link gun.
up to this plateau that you can dive down into the water.
Jim adding sound effects.
On the other way
I
out,
think in sound.
let's jump head bam. Got a redeemer down here. And then in this underwater
Yes.
base, there's a shortcut here through this kind of turbine tunnel.
Place where I die
With
a
the
lot.
damage down
That's
in
what it's
here.
also known as.
That enters into the other flag base underneath. But there's a button you can push to turn the fans on and suck people up or down depending on which button you push. This one here will suck people up, and then there's another one on the other side that will suck people down. And since this is the quickest way out, it's super high risk but high reward to take it, and we've had some interesting moments there with people yelling at getting sucked into that thing.
Yeah, this is one of our yelling maps.
Yeah, so this base is symmetrical, has some good opportunities to duck away here behind the flag, has an armor underneath it. If you snag the flag, you can ride down this little river, take the jump head up, escape this way, or ignore the jump head and try and make it out through the
water.
the water here. But yeah, thematically, in typical Thomas fashion, it's awesome. He's doing great shapes and brushwork, and
Yeah, it's
looks very
gorgeous.
iconic. And yeah, so far we've actually had a ton of fun on this, and it's going a little bit more in the asymmetrical direction of keeping both bases somewhat, not balanced, but it's not, that skewed towards one side, really, which so far most people seem to be more agreeable with when it comes to asymmetrical. Either the one extreme, like Guba's map, where it's completely one-sided and it's obvious, or asymmetrical maps that are still relatively balanced, and then
Mhm.
swap seem to ring better than the, yeah, well, this base is somewhat OP, but the other one not quite, and people seem to have more issues with that in general. But
I do get lost quite a bit in this map. So.
it's actually a really, really simple layout, though.
I know, but you know
s-
me. I never
flag
ask for
here.
directions.
You have one way out there, one way out over here, and then the funnel down in the middle, and the top path's bottleneck over here. You can actually drop down to the lower path here as well, or you can rocket jump up if you're coming in this
Yeah.
way.
I think that's the confusing part right there. Is there's a lot of over and under, and
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, now though, you know that somebody has to either go in here, over there, or down there.
Right there's a great
Previously,
place to snipe from.
this used to be open. You could drop down in from the top as well, etc. And it got a little porous getting into that base.
Yeah.
But now there's actually some good focus going on. So flag runs tend to be interesting, escaping from this underwater base into the upper base, and then this one here just has the thrill of escaping this way and just kind of making that crazy dash. And it's also actually quite nice for attacking because you can kind of just fire and forget your translocator, wait, dodge out, bam, and you're already at the entrance too. So fun stuff to be had. But anyways,
Definitely.
this will be the next build, and Thomas
Oh,
did
it's
an
going to
awesome
be in the
job.
build? Excellent.
Yep.
Right now, you can jump in the forums because Thomas has been talking in the forums with everyone and taking feedback. So
Yeah, he made a new thread for this, and
Okay.
I'm sure he'll be excited to hear from people what they think.
yeah, I was gonna say this isn't by any means done. So be sure and play it and give us some feedback.
give us feedback. Somebody in the chat said looked like the weapon switch time had changed. Is that the case, Steve?
Weapon switching is about 10 to 20% faster than it was.
About 10 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah, depends on the.
Depending on the weapon.
Yeah.
Well, you should pull the sniper just
Oh yeah.
for a second. Some people in the
But
chat
then we
said
can't
that-
surprise them with the okay. Oh, look at that. Ta-da!
Weapon throw. Weapon throw.
I don't actually know what the default bind is for it because I have it changed in my config.
So happy to play with a sniper. It was funny. We were playing the other day, and I can't remember. Was it you, Jim, who said, "Wow, this is"? Somebody said, "Wow, this sniper rifle was really awesome." I was
Oh,
worried.
yeah.
Oh, it was Stu.
Yeah.
It was Stu, the sniper, of all people, and he said, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome!" And like it's so much better than the default
I
UT3
think this
model.
was a
Yeah.
first pass proto mesh that Aberiu had given Pete, and for those who've watched the thread, he's already been doing crazy updates to it,
Yeah,
so
it
it's
looks
looking really, really
fantastic.
slick. I'm super excited for that to get in.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And if you stick around in the stream, we might have some more pictures of it in a little bit.
Yeah, so we have the proto for the Lincoln, we have the proto for the sniper in, and Pete is working on proto for the rocket launcher now.
And all the hands right now are super temp because they're in the process of reworking.
But they still look really cool.
Those,
It's so much better than it was, and
Yeah.
it's so nice. It's really coming along.
All right.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, rock paper shotgun had a great story that they interviewed Steve, and it was really nice to read. It's nice to see the comments. Everybody's like, I can't even believe this is like a pre-alpha game. It looks so great,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's come so far. So it's really nice to see.
Getting there.
Speaking of your comments, do you have anything else that you want to talk about with
No,
the build?
I think we need to get this build out so you guys can see it. And then
Yeah. All right, so we'll make this quick. We are
Yeah.
going to read a few questions. The first one is from Cafe. Have you considered increasing the HP of the translocator disc to 55 health? It's really weak right now and it needs a buff.
I think that's a good point. I mean, we'll try to look at that over the next month.
That bugs me too personally. To be
Yeah,
honest.
I think I feel like it's
Do you hear that,
something that
Kath?
we haven't
Mm.
really thought about from a balance point of view. So I think it's just something we need to
Yeah.
explicitly think about a little bit.
I
Also-
personally like it very
Well,
weak.
the one thing
But I think there's a balance. I mean,
Yeah,
the problem
there
is that
definitely is.
you want
you catch the incidental like outer rim of something
That's the
sometimes,
thing
and it's
is you
just
want
so easy to
ideally you want it to be easy to disrupt intentionally, but not something that gets disrupted by accident all
Every
the time.
time.
The other
So-
nice thing is
yeah.
actually if you don't just kill it straight away, it'll get momentum from things, right? If the auto radius of a shock combo hits it, it'll actually get knocked away from it as
Yeah.
opposed to just flat out dying.
Yeah.
And the other thing too you get is you can screw with other people's translock discs on the floor because now you can shoot it over the edge with an enforcer or whatever,
Yeah.
things like
This
that.
is so much fun.
So yeah, so we will definitely we'll mess around with that. I think that's a good thing to.
He also asks, how do you feel about weapon bases only replenishing ammo to the default amount rather than acting as an ammo pickup? I think that's the way they can work now. It makes it more difficult to balance the ammo in CTF. Rather, they would refill to default rather than being 100% additive.
That's I guess something we can think about. The problem with all those, as those rules get complicated, is just really hard for people to understand what's going to happen. And then
Yeah.
also people come up with weird exploits, which is, I mean, like, it kind of sucks to have the rule of, oh, I run up here and I have to make sure I run through the weapon pickup first before I pick up the other ammo so I can maximize my ammo. So I understand the issue and it's something we can think about, but I really feel like in the past it's always sucked when there's kind of exploitative ways to maximize your ammo that are sort of hidden.
Yeah.
You know, that
That
the average player is just going to be confused by why did I, you know, if I run through in this direction, I get one amount of ammo, and I run through this direction, I end
Well,
up with
that
a
sounds
different
like
amount.
something too
So,
that could be added later to a comp mod or something like that, you know?
yeah.
you know,
Well,
for
I think we should
competitive
have
play.
a solution that is reasonable. I mean, I don't think
Ideally, all those things just kind of work without
Work,
needing
yeah.
customization, I think.
Yeah.
Alright.
'Cause, yeah.
Buyaka wants to know, wondering if you guys are planning on implementing a fully working controller functionality and any idea when this will be possible. Love the series, looking forward to fragging ahead. The controller setup isn't working so well right now. The dodge isn't working, and assigning controls is difficult, and the sensitivity it just isn't right. Somebody else had just asked about this too, and he said, I said, well, post in the forums with your questions. He said, I would, but then everybody says, why are you using a controller for a PC game?
So really, if you love using a controller, then I mean, so there's two parts to this. Is at some point we need to add a menu for binding your controller so you can set stuff up the way you want. But in the short term, the first pass is go in and mess with the ini files and figure out the controller settings you want. I mean, it's all exposed in the ini, so
Right.
somebody who really wants to use a controller can figure out what they think is the right control setup. I mean, you could go back and start off with what we had in UT3, which I thought worked reasonably well, but the problem is our movement stuff has changed some,
It's
so I don't
changed
even
a
know
lot.
if everything would quite work right. And then sensitivity is also something you can just tweak, but you tell us how the controller should be set up. But that's something that doesn't really require much programming knowledge. If you just go to the input ini, you should be able to get that pretty close to what you want. And probably, you know, there might be a couple things you say, hey, I couldn't figure out how to do this, and there's some code we have to add, but I'd love to see somebody give us some feedback on how to make that better.
Okay.
Probably be a little bit different with the Steam controller versus like a.
That's right. The Steam
gamepad, too.
controller coming
Yeah.
out too. Using it playing UT, it was amazingly
Yeah.
easy
Yeah,
to move
they
around.
did all the
so-
setup themselves there. So.
But we could also have some different presets for different
Yeah.
controller types. I mean, mostly it's the Xbox style controller and the Steam controller are probably the two big ones. And
yeah.
if there's anything else, I mean, yeah, we'd love to have other presets if the community tells us how they should be set up.
All right. Kazio Hin, who already has something in the marketplace, wants to know when we can expect updates to the marketplace and when they should have new content ready for.
So we are right now working on getting that figured out. So there's going to be two ways that we're going to put content into the game, and one is through the marketplace, and one is through a loot system that we're trying to get up and running right now. And so we definitely are very interested in people creating new content, new cosmetic stuff for characters. We put the character source art.
Yep.
Is now available if you go to the forums. We would love people to make new character variants, and all that stuff. You know, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder to get it to the quality bar that we need for the game. And by the time you guys get there, we will be wanting everything you guys can make. So we're definitely we're working hard now towards getting to the point where we can really accept a big pipeline of high quality content coming in. So please make stuff.
Yeah, make lots of
Yeah,
stuff.
all of the bots now
Make some
have
pink and purple
individual
stuff.
personalities. They have favorite weapons. They have different skill levels. They have different, jumpiness and alertness and all this other stuff. But the problem is they all look exactly the same
Yeah.
right now. So the more, until we can get some really good character variants, a good way
Yeah.
to increase that variation
Yeah.
is to do cosmetic items.
Or make character variants for us too. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but we're
Yeah.
actively looking for both. There's threads in the forums going already where we're looking
Yeah.
for both, and as part of that, as we get more cosmetic items, we can either add them to the marketplace if they do all the leader stuff and player progression and all the other stuff that we're trying to do, or we can throw them into the loot boxes
Yeah.
whenever we get that system up and running fully. So that there'll be multiple ways to get new content, and
Yeah.
or multiple ways that you can choose to distribute it. However,
No,
when you
choose.
want.
We're probably going to figure out a consistent.
There'll
way
be
for
different
stuff,
levels,
so-
like the easy stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than throw it on the marketplace for pennies, we can throw it in the loot boxes, and then it becomes a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Zocom wants to know, when will UT4 enter alpha phase, and if so, is DirectX 12 supported, ready for Windows 10 users by then?
So we talked a couple weeks ago about alpha. So I think, I mean, by our definition of alpha, which is having the major features all implemented but not polished, I think we'll be there sometime this fall. In the kind of probably October, November kind of time frame is where I feel like we can call ourselves alpha. In terms of Windows 12, we're kind of dependent on the engine team to get that functionality in. So
Lots of work to be done.
I think 4.9 is probably late August, early September. That'd be the earliest it might be in. But I don't even know if DX12 is planned for that. But we will definitely use it as soon as it's possible. There's some nice performance improvements from it. It also, both in terms of frame rate, and I believe it also reduces your the lag between from input to seeing it on the screen. Like I think you save. So it's something we're really excited about, looking forward to. So we'll definitely get it into UT as soon as we can.
He also would like to know about DMLIA. He wants to know if it's going to be available for 32-bit users, especially Linux users, without the launcher. Can we make it an official map in the game so people wouldn't have to load it from the launcher, et cetera, et cetera?
That's a good question. We actually were just talking today about how we can improve our support for 32-bit players. So
I did hear them talking about it.
yeah, so we need to think about that. I mean, it's a good point that we definitely don't want people to miss out on content.
Especially Leah. It's
I mean, the truth is right now, if you download Leah by joining and downloading in progress on some server, then you will have it in your game and you'll be able to.
Because it is set up to be a free
not-
map.
It doesn't, so we don't redirect anyway, we still force them to go to the marketplace.
Ah.
All of those users can still get entitled for it, they just have to email customer service.
Okay.
There you
And
go.
it should work on
So in case you couldn't hear what Zach was saying, you just have
Did
to
not know
email.
that.
If you're a 32-bit user and can't use the marketplace, you can email customer service,
And
and
they'll
they will
grant you
grant you the
entitlement.
entitlement because it is
Yeah.
a free map. So you can just do it straight there.
I
Yeah.
think we need to put that in the FAQ.
Um,
And
But we should think about streamlining that until I mean, obviously, I mean, our desire is for there to be a 32-bit launcher so that you guys have seamless support for all this stuff. But we definitely want to support our 32-bit users until we get to that point. So it's definitely something we should think about.
And his last
something like that.
question is, will UT be compatible with Valve's Steam OS? Steve's
Will
taking
UT
notes. This takes a minute.
Be compatible. UT is compatible with Steam OS.
Yeah, we had it at,
we showed it off
GDC.
at GDC or Valve showed it off in their booth at GDC. We haven't released that version. I mean, it's basically Steam OS is a Linux variant, so it's not at a shippable quality right now, but it's definitely basically supported and something we intend to at some point release. I mean, that's certainly my goal. I don't know of any reason why we wouldn't.
It
So
was supporting servers, but not.
no, it supported clients. Like Valve
is it?
was
Okay.
showing off the client.
Cool,
It looked
yeah.
great on.
Yeah,
Oh,
look
yes,
beautiful
well,
on that.
we
that
sat there for
4K
3 days
TV.
playing with them,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
With Gabe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to bring that up again.
Your friend, Gabe?
My friend Gabe. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. We have some beautiful shots from Aberiu of the sniper rifle. These are absolutely gorgeous.
These are a little bit farther along than the proto that we showed in
Yes.
game, obviously.
So these are actually on the forum, so you can take a look. Somebody's already using one as a desktop, they told me. One of my old sniper buddies. And
Yeah, he basically did an awesome functionality pass.
It's beautiful.
Proper magazine that fits.
Look at
loads
that
bullets,
magazine.
etc.
He
you
really
would find
thought of everything.
the arm on the side of the gun a little bit more as well.
Yep. And color variants, which is going to be possible for the marketplace and loot drops. So pretty.
Nice panel on the sides.
Yep.
You can see some of the.
This is a nice angle here. When it was funny because when people first saw this, they were like, "Oh, I'm not sure. It's so much different." And now everybody's just totally in love with it.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Kind of wonder if they should not have it on the base version. Like, it's one of the things we definitely want with, and this weapon is a great weapon for that, is customization, and it really fits. But I kind of would like to not have that Leandri hammer logo on the default
Yeah,
version.
I already mentioned that in the forum thread because he
'cause
has the Izanagi branding.
Yeah, but the thing is, Izanagi branding kind of blends into the sleekness of the whole thing, but that logo kind of stands out, and it just like that shape is so nice, and I hate having it broken up with that.
I imagine
Well,
that eventually
technically-
there'll be like
That's
a
a
grip.
good eye there,
grip
Steve.
thing.
Technically, unless you see
Be a
it on the ground
designer.
or on the base, the hand will break it up.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But even so,
But
you
still.
wouldn't want Izanagi and Leandri on the same
I
gun.
will put my own sticker on this.
Just be a good grip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little-
looks great.
little
So thank you,
texture
Aberiu,
there,
and
hand
for
stuff.
everybody who's been helping out in that thread. It looks fantastic, and it's going to be in the next build.
Yep.
Yay! All right, everyone, we'll see you next week. Make sure you
Bye.
jump into the Unreal Engine stream tomorrow afternoon and say hello to Chance.
And come play with us on Friday.
And don't forget to come play with us on Friday. And we'll see you next week.